It was 2:47 a.m. when the city outside his penthouse went silent, except for the desperate, trembling cries of a baby. The sound echoed off marble walls and luxury furniture, cutting through the stillness like a scream in a cathedral. Ethan Cole, one of the city's youngest self-made millionaires, stood frozen holding his 3-month-old daughter Emma against his chest. He had closed billion-dollar deals, negotiated mergers that shaped entire industries, but in that moment, the sharp wail of his little girl broke him in ways no corporate battle ever could. He tried everything the internet suggested. A bottle, a lullaby, gentle rocking. He whispered, begged, even cried himself, but the baby wouldn't stop. Her tiny face was red, her fists clenched, her cries shaking the air. And behind those cries was a truth he couldn't escape. He didn't know how to be a father. His wife, Mia, had passed away just 2 weeks after giving birth, taken by sudden complications no one could predict. The house that once echoed with laughter and baby names now felt like a hollow monument to everything he'd lost. Every corner reminded him of her. Every photo on the wall made him ache. And now his daughter's cries were the only sound left in a home built on success but empty of love. He had wealth, but not wisdom. Assistants, but no affection. People to manage his empire, but no one who could help him soothe a crying child. He had never felt smaller or more helpless. And that was when fate decided to send someone into his life. Someone he least expected. The next morning, bleary-eyed and exhausted, Ethan stumbled into a small coffee shop at the corner of Willow Street. Emma in a stroller, his tie undone and his patience gone. The barista behind the counter noticed him immediately, not because he was famous, but because he looked human for once. Her name was Grace, a single mother herself, with a 6-year-old boy named Leo. Her smile carried stories, the kind of smile that had survived heartbreak but still believed in better days. "Rough night?" she asked softly, sliding him a coffee before he even ordered. Ethan forced a weak smile, something like that. When Emma started crying again, Ethan froze, that same helpless panic in his eyes. Grace didn't hesitate. She came around the counter, gently scooped the baby up, and began to hum softly. Within minutes, the baby's cries faded into soft hiccups, and then silence. Ethan watched, stunned. "How did you do that?" he asked. Grace smiled, brushing the baby's tiny hair. "Mothers just know. It's not about what you do. It's about what you feel." Those words stayed with him. What you feel. Over the next few days, Ethan found excuses to return to that same coffee shop. Sometimes for coffee, sometimes for peace, sometimes just to watch how easily Grace managed chaos with calm, whether it was her son spilling cocoa or a baby crying. He learned that Grace had been raising Leo alone since his father left years ago. She worked double shifts, slept barely 4 hours a night, and yet always smiled as if hope lived in her pocket. She was the kind of person who found beauty in the broken, laughter in the lonely, and light in the darkest rooms. Ethan admired her strength. Grace, meanwhile, saw through his expensive suit and practiced charm. She saw a man trying to hold himself together with duct tape made of pride. When he admitted one day that he didn't know how to be a father, she didn't judge. She just said, "You don't have to be perfect, Ethan, just present." Soon their friendship grew naturally. Grace taught him small things: how to cradle Emma properly, how to warm milk to the right temperature, how to read her little signals before she cried. She came over to help when he had meetings, and in return, Ethan helped pay Leo's school fees and fix things around her small apartment. They became each other's missing pieces. But life doesn't change without challenges, and their connection faced plenty for Ethan. The challenge was learning vulnerability. He had built walls around his heart, afraid of losing anyone again. Every time Grace smiled at Emma, he felt his chest tighten with fear, the fear of caring too much. For Grace, the challenge was trust. She had seen promises break before, love fade under pressure, and kindness used as currency. She didn't want to be another story in a rich man's redemption arc. And when word got out that Ethan Cole, the cold businessman, was spending time with a coffee shop worker, the tabloids went wild. Headlines screamed scandal, questioning Grace's intentions. Grace's employer received complaints. Her son was teased at school, and she began to pull away, misprotecting her child, protecting her heart. Ethan tried to fix it the only way he knew, by offering her money, security, comfort. but she refused it all. Money doesn't fix people, Ethan, she said, tears in her eyes. Presence does. Patience does. Love does. Her words cut deeper than any deal gone wrong. Weeks passed. The distance between them grew, and Emma, once comforted by Grace's voice, began to cry more again. Ethan tried everything, but the magic Grace brought into their lives couldn't be bought or replaced. One night, after hours of failed soothing, Ethan broke down completely. He held his daughter close and whispered, "I can't do this without you, Mia." Or her. And for the first time he realized, Grace hadn't just helped him care for Emma. She had taught him how to feel again, so he did something he never thought he'd do. He left his penthouse, took Emma in her stroller, and walked through the rain to the coffee shop that had become a second home. Grace was closing up when he arrived, soaked and trembling. He stood in the doorway, breathless. "I don't want to buy you anything," he said quietly. "I just want to learn from you. To live, to love, to be the kind of man my daughter deserves." Grace looked at him for a long time before stepping forward. She took Emma into her arms, kissed her forehead, and said, "Then start by being here. That's enough." From that day on, Ethan changed. He stopped hiding behind his success. He took time off work to care for Emma, learned to cook, learned lullabies, and even attended Leo's school play. Grace and Ethan became inseparable, not because of romance at first, but because of respect. They built a small circle of trust and family. Grace's son found a father figure, and Ethan's daughter found the kind of love her mother would have wanted her to know. Soft, steady, and real. Eventually, love bloomed quietly between Ethan and Grace. Not grand gestures, but simple moments, laughter over spilled milk, shared glances during bedtime stories, tears and joy mingling under the same roof. Ethan once thought wealth meant control. Now he understood. The richest moments were the ones you couldn't measure. Years later, Emma grew up calling Grace Mom. Leo and Emma became siblings in spirit. And Ethan, once a man who ruled from the top of glass towers, now ruled from the warmth of a small home filled with laughter, coffee, and love. At their modest wedding, Grace whispered as they danced, "You found your way back to love." Ethan smiled and said, "No, you showed me the way." Moral of the story: sometimes the people who have the least give the most, and sometimes the ones who seem to have everything are the ones who need saving the most. Love doesn't need wealth, it needs presence. It needs patience. It needs kindness. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments. Would you choose love over luxury if you had to? I'd love to read your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Be Kind Always for more inspiring stories that remind us kindness is the true measure of wealth.